Guitar Maniacs, it's Pete Thorn. Welcome to my studio. Hey, and I hold in my hands here the subject of this video. It's the Origin Effects Revival Drive Compact. You heard it in all the guitar parts and the bass on that track at the beginning of the video. Just a killer pedal. Now, this company, of course, came out with the Cali 76 and Slide Rig pedals a few years ago. Probably going on 7 or 8 years ago now, something like that. And then they came out with compact versions of those because the originals were quite large, amazing sounding pedals though. I love that original Cali 76, I just gotta say, absolutely gotta be my favorite compressor in a guitar pedal format of all time. It is big, but man, what a sound. Anyways, great sounding compressors. A couple years ago they came out with original version of the Revival Drive, which is basically full-fledged guitar preamp in a pedal. And man, it was just an incredible pedal for doing Marshall sounds, also getting blackface, Vox style sounds, that kind of stuff. But the Marshall thing it did was what really knocked me out. I was actually able to run my old Marshall into a speaker cabinet, mic it up, and get a cool sound, and then I plugged the original Revival Drive into a Matrix power amp, and I went back and forth and A-B'd the Marshall with the Origin driving the Matrix, and I was able to almost like 100% just about accurately duplicate the tone of the Marshall using the pedal into the solid state power amp, and I was knocked out by that. Fast forward to now, present times, they've got the Revival Drive Compact, a more compact version, just knocks a couple features of the original pedal off so that they can shrink it down and get it into a smaller size housing. The original one was 2 channels, this one's just a 1-channel version. And I'm going to read right off their copy right now so I can tell you a little bit more about this in their own words. Revival Drive Compact takes the groundbreaking circuit design in the original Revival Drive and condenses it into a smaller, more pedal board friendly package. Housing a complete valve amp style circuit path recreated in analog electronics, the Revival Drive Compact accurately reproduces a wide range of classic British and American non-master volume amp tones. So non-master volume amp tones, that's good to know. It's not a super high gain pedal. When I was playing the solos on that song at the beginning of the video, I had the gain absolutely cranked. It's kind of like a Marshall Plexi when you got the gain cranked on 10. It's about that much gain. And I would imagine, although I didn't do it in this video, haven't tried it, you could hit it with something like a boost or an overdrive in front and it should stack just beautifully, much like an amp would. Essentially trying to duplicate a tube circuit, but in pedal form is what they're doing with these. So it's not just a mere overdrive or distortion pedal. An important thing to note about this pedal is that it's got these post-drive EQ controls on it right here. What's great about this is it allows you to tune the pedal to different amplifiers. So if you want to run into the front of a bright amplifier or a dark amplifier, or maybe even into like a flat power amp, you simply use this little 3-way switch right here and this other control right here, which is a pot that you can turn. It's kind of a set screw kind of thing, but it's actually easy to turn with your fingers or a screwdriver. And you can just tune this thing in just perfectly to whatever you want to plug it into. For the purposes of my video, I ran this into the clean channel of my PT15 amplifier, which is kind of an American voice clean, kind of a bright, sparkly clean. And I had the post-drive EQ switch here set to the EQ1 position, which is just perfect for an American-style amp that's got kind of a bright, chimey, clean sound. Got a darker sounding amplifier you want to plug it into, you'd flip down to EQ2. And if you want to run direct or into a flat power amp, switch that switch all the way up. Then you've got this kind of contour control that I just mentioned, and you can just turn that. What it does is basically kind of thins out the sound, seems to cut bass. When you turn it counterclockwise, turn it up and it lets more bass through the signal and the sound gets fuller, and you can just tune it right in for just about any amp. Other controls on the pedal, you got an output level control and a gain level control. Those are pretty self-explanatory. The highs and the lows aren't exactly what you would think. You can really dupe different style of amplifiers by turning, say, the highs all the way off and the bass all the way off. That's still a usable good sound. Or when everything's at noon, that's a usable sound. And even turning everything all the way up, that's a usable sound, depending on the amplifier that you're trying to emulate and depending on what you're plugging into. So I suggest you tune with your ears and not with your eyes when it comes to these controls. Don't be afraid to turn the bass all the way off. That's a legit setting that actually kind of duplicates a Marshall Plexi. Or don't be afraid to turn that highs control way up. Just depends on what you're plugging into and what you're trying to emulate. And there's some great settings that they give you to try in the Revival Drive Compact Manual. So for all the parts in my song at the beginning of the video, I just turned those controls to where they sounded good. Other controls here, really powerful blend control. This allows you to blend in some clean signal if you want to. So if you're plugged into a punchy, tight, clean amplifier, you can just blend in the gain on the top of your sound if you want. For most of my video, because it's just what I like, I had that turned all the way up, so I was running 100% of the pedal overdrive. But for the bass part in the song at the beginning of the video, and I'll show you this in a little bit, I did blend in some of the clean signal. It worked really great on bass. Okay, last control we got here is the more and presence control. And basically what this is designed to do is emulate presence as well as a negative feedback control. So you can get more or less negative feedback. An amplifier that has no negative feedback would be a Vox AC30. So if you were to turn this control all the way down, that would be the closest emulation to an AC30 style negative feedback. It's a different sound and a different feel. Once again, I just tuned with my ears, and I generally had that control down around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. It gets sort of more open, fatter, there's more frequencies coming through. As you sort of blend more negative feedback into the sound, it tends to tame the sound a little bit and thin it out a little bit more. So you just want to find a balance with that control. Okay, so what I want to do now is solo some of those parts from the song at the beginning of the video outside of the mix so you can clearly hear what all the controls do. I'm also going to play a little bit more on my 335. I'll record a guitar loop through my Ditto looper and play it through the pedal, and then I can turn the knobs and hit the switches and all that good stuff. And once again, you're hearing the pedal through the clean channel of my Sir PT15 amplifier. Thanks for watching my video on the Origin Effects Revival Drive Compact. Just a killer, smaller version of the original Revival Drive. I was a big fan of that pedal. I'm still a big fan of that pedal. And I'm a big fan of this pedal because it's going to fit on just about any pedal board. It really is so, and it's so overused at this point, but it's amp-like. That's what it is. These guys have obviously done a lot of work on these pedals, and they're not just your run-of-the-mill distortion and overdrives that they make. You can check it out further at the website. You see there on your screen. There's some other great demos at that website. Be sure and hit subscribe. Maybe hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Hit the little bell beside the subscribe, and you'll get an alert every time I put out a new video. I'll see you real soon. I am Pete Thorn. Take care. Over and out.